Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski. I will co-host the program today. I am the co-host from the East Coast, the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. 2A Views, conservative news, as my co-host just informed you. And it's a great day to officially start the weekend, Craig. How was your day been so far?
It is going phenomenally. It is, well, my weekend began a couple of days ago, or at least attempted to begin it. The attitude, as we talk about, the attitude of the weekend started a couple of days ago, but now I officially get into the weekend, and it'll officially start as soon as we sign off.
Very nice. Yes, absolutely. From here, it's straight to another Oktoberfest festival for me. I got 3 more this weekend to hit.
Wow. You love celebrating Oktoberfest, don't you?
It's my favorite holiday. It's my favorite holiday. I love it.
For the viewers, why don't you tell me what is exactly Oktoberfest?
Oh, you listen, in Germany, where it's from Munich. Oktoberfest is actually in September because it celebrates the coming of the fall harvest. But in America, if we celebrated Oktoberfest in September, nobody would go.
Right.
Wait, it was last month? What happened? It's and then they do a Springfest as well, exactly 6 months later. At the end of March. So nice. Celebrating the successful, or harvest, or the planting of the harvest. I'm sorry. Planting of the crops. Yeah, but I love it, Craig. Oktoberfest is okay. You go to Thanksgiving, right? You get to eat and drink what you want, but all your family's there.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to have your family there at Oktoberfest. You don't take your family, so it's so fun, right?
But I like my family. You're saying you don't have to have your family there.
No, I don't like my family, or I don't yours either. I mean, really, I like
you don't like my family.
I like your family because they're 3,000 miles away. That works.
What's not to like?
Exactly right. But then, like Christmas, you give gifts to people, right? But then you're sitting there with your family and everything. Well, at Oktoberfest, we give the gift of beer, right? Here's Oktoberfest, blah, but no family. So again, it works for me. So it works out.
Okay, well, good stuff. I am glad you were enjoying your Oktoberfest. I don't know, Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Wrong holiday.
Yeah.
All right. How about a shout out to our sponsors, sir?
Let's say hello to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Listen, I talked to the guys yesterday, day before, saw them, and then talked to them again yesterday. Keep up the good work, folks. They say they hear from you all the time. They hear from you. It's a great thing. So you need a barrel for your rifle, just look them up. They sell them now direct to the public. It's hitmanindustries.net. Our good friends at the California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Make sure you reach out to them and see how you can support that effort. And then, of course, if you want some awesome tactical gear, some web gear, please reach out to our friends at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. These are the people who bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. So please do us a favor. Follow the link to their websites in the description to this program. And if you like what you see, and I'm sure that you will, make sure you drop a few dollars on them and make sure to tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Also, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Folks, tell your friends about us. Tell them about The Rundown, 2A news and conservative views. We know the algorithms are doing everything possible to make sure that people don't see us. So we count on you to spread the word. So spread the word. Let them know that they can watch us wherever they watch videos. They can listen to us wherever they listen to podcasts. However y'all want to partake, you can partake. I'm just saying, do it.
Do it. Do it now.
Just do it. All right. Moving into today's news, big 2A victory. Okay, well, maybe not huge, but a pretty big 2A victory in New York. You know that they recently passed a slew of anti-gun laws preventing carry. Following Bruin, basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to say, okay, well, great, you have a right to carry, but you don't have a right to carry in most places in the city of New York. And one of the places that was deemed a quote-unquote sensitive place was church. They banned the ability to carry firearms in church. And we had told you that many entities or many individuals have decided that they were just simply not going to comply with that, because when you think about where a lot of these mass casualty events involving firearms take place, many of them take place, number one, in places of worship. But also, as soon as you deem a place to be a gun-free zone, it becomes a hot target for those who want to inflict that kind of harm and damage. Well, now, by the way, this week we told you about. Well, actually, I think it was just yesterday we were telling you about it, about basically folks in synagogues basically saying, churches saying, no, we're not going to comply. Well, now you've got a federal judge who out of Buffalo who has blocked the New York's place of worship gun ban. They've issued a temporary restraining order. Now, mind you, the reason why this is important, even though it's only temporary, judges only issue these when they believe that it is likely that the plaintiffs are going to wind up winning. And that's exactly what's going on here. Is they're basically saying, yeah, we are pretty darn sure that y'all are going to lose this gun, that you're going to win this gun case, so we're going to make sure we get rid of this ban. And Mike, this is a suit that was put forth by the Second Amendment Foundation and the Firearms Policy Coalition, two groups which we are very, very good friends with. And man, they are just handling their business from coast to coast, ain't they?
Knocking it out of the park. It's amazing. Every chance they get, they're going down. Normally, Craig, we see them. They line up the number of lawsuits they can handle at a time because of the limited staff that they have. It's a great staff, incredible lawyers, but can only handle so many around the country. But so normally there's a timetable, right? Get the case ready, file the case, sit back, examine which case we're going to do next, and then start to work on that case. Well, these are getting knocked down so fast. I'm sure the guys there at SAF and FBC are like, oh, which one's done? Crap, we are not ready for the next one yet. So they are just hitting them out. And judges now, because of the new the new process led by Bruin, or given to us by Bruin, of how to examine and how to evaluate these federal lawsuits involving the Second Amendment. The judges are streamlined. They're like, hey, listen, I don't have to sit back for a year and debate all this nonsense. It's right here in the ruling. It tells me these are the two processes I have to use, and that took me about 15 minutes to do. So boom, it's unconstitutional. You're allowed to have your firearms there.
Well, Mike, the thing that gets me, and this is the thing that people need to understand about this, is a lot of people are like, well, why do you have multiple groups filing these lawsuits? And the reason why you have this, Mike, is because you're only allowed to cover so many different things in a lawsuit, right? And so what this does is it allows them to, each side to hit multiple points and make multiple different arguments by adding multiple different plaintiffs who are suing for various different reasons. It's just good. It's good sound logic when it comes to filing these lawsuits.
Yes, it does. Listen, again, it's increased assets, it's crosstalk, and remember, you've got, we know FPC is located out of California, and SAF out of Bellevue, Washington, but they're not using attorneys from those locations for all of their cases. They have attorneys there; they're policymakers. But you file a case in New York, you need New York attorneys. You file a case in Michigan, you need people that are licensed in Michigan. They work with these attorneys groups all around the country. And it's a lot better when, again, you team up. You put my expert with your expert, and now you know this and I know that, and let's attack this together. So you find a lot of times on these cases they'll join, or even if they don't join, one will still file an amicus brief on the other's behalf.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't know, amicus brief is a friend of the court brief. It's usually making an argument not made by the direct plaintiff.
Yes. Yep.
So anyway, good stuff going on there in New York City. Haha, good stuff. All right, now moving over into I think this is where is this at? This is Michigan. So we got a couple of interesting stories out of Michigan. So out of Michigan, we have a group of parents who are very angry and upset about the new sex ed or new curriculum that's being pushed in their children's schools. These are very religious parents. And, some people are like, oh, well, those darn Christian conservatives, right wing wackos. No, it's not. It actually is a group of Muslim parents who, once again, are angry and they're frustrated, and they are angry about the sexually explicit books that are being put out in their schools. And, it's kind of funny because you don't hear a lot, Mike, from the mainstream media talking about the fact that you've got these. I mean, if these were white Christian parents, or even if they weren't Christian, if they were just white, it would be a huge story, and they'd be saying, "Oh, look at them protesting the schools and yada yada yada." But the fact that it's Muslims, now all of a sudden it doesn't fit with their people o' color tract.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting story here, Craig, because it's like you say, this is people that you wouldn't. You're not the typical, the angry white person. People arguing about this, right? This is a Muslim gentleman who is arguing this point. And folks, I don't know, Craig. I don't know if you want to. We could bring it up how much we could talk about it, but they're talking about sexually explicit material. Now, Craig, when you and I were in school, that meant like you snuck a look at Grey's Anatomy, right? Not the TV show I'm talking about the actual book. Where it had images of stuff, or an old National Geographic magazine, right? If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. Those were the sexually explicit stuff. Now this is like, it's telling children how to get on Grindr and score homosexual sex. I mean, and I'm not talking about like, oh, it hints at it. It's like step 1, upload a picture. Step 2, find nearest homosexual. And listen, I don't care if it's homosexual or heterosexual. Don't be teaching a 12-year-old how to go find sex, okay? And that's what these are doing. And then it's got the graph of here's a man's body. You can use this part to please that part, and this part to please that part. Like, dude, no, absolutely not. So I don't care if it's the Muslim, the white, the Hispanic, the black, whoever it is. When you stand up to fight against exposing your children to this kind of horrors, this ridiculousness, then you listen. I'm standing up behind you as well, because again, as we talked about earlier this week, we have First Amendment protections. However, when we get to things like obscenities or teaching adult sex practices to juveniles,
right?
Now, and I'm not talking about sexual education. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, this is clearly a book written about how to score in a bathroom when you're 12 years old. It's no.
Well, and this is the sort of stuff. This is sort of stuff that it's up to parents to decide when and what exactly they want their kids to learn. It's not for the schools to decide that we're going to teach this to kids.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Craig, could you bring up that article and scroll down to about the last paragraph? I wanted to bring a point out on there, and it's hard for me to believe that this is actually. People still use this line of reasoning when they're having these debates. And you listen, the woman, and all the way down. Don't show that part. Come on, we're gonna get in trouble.
But first, I wanted to show this because this was for
okay.
people who were wondering what you were talking about. Yeah. This is what you were talking about in terms of ins and outs of gay sex. This is in a book that is available in schools in Michigan.
Yes, yeah, we won't read it. We'll just let you read it. And if you're listening to the podcast, just think really hard.
Just really bad stuff. I'll put we'll put the link in the description. I mean, in the thing. Oh, you talking about this lady right here?
Yeah. So you see that? Don't push the button. I don't want to see her. Just so you see her, she's the. I mean, I think we could agree, right? She's the angry book banning hippie, right? Right.
Yes.
Is that right? Or the.
Oh, did not mean to do that. Yeah. There you go.
But I wanted to actually go scroll down more. Scroll down. Keep going. There we go. So wait, stop. This is her argument. Sexually explicit material, including pornographic and pedophilia material, is available to children in countless school districts around the country. That's her justification for why it's okay in Michigan. Other people are doing it, Craig. Why shouldn't we? Well, I got news for you, annoying old white lady. People are punching old, annoying white ladies. How about we do that too?
See, progressive white woman says Muslim Americans in Dearborn are like Hitler because they don't want to have a how-to guide to handies, blowies, and sex apps in a school library. Wow.
Anything about handies and blowies, and that's the first time she's ever in years. Look at this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
why she's
ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. But once again,
Yeah.
this is the sort of stuff that people want, that some people want in schools. And yeah, I get it. I get why people are upset, why they're angry, because this is not what's public school. This is not what school is supposed to be about.
I really think that a lot of people, Craig, our age, younger, that are hearing about, well, they're teaching, gender studies and sexual items like this to kids, are thinking about what we all had in school. The
Right.
separate the boys from girls, have the video, and here's this, and how to stay safe, and that's it. No, I agree with that. And a lot of parents, I think, would agree with that, because they don't want to have the difficult conversation, because we have a nation of cowards out there now that are afraid to face their own fears. However, it's not what we're teaching them now. We're not teaching them the same things that you and I got taught. We're teaching how to, again, and I'm not making this up. Don't write me any letters. How to go on a gay sex act and score when you're underage.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, if you want that in your schools, then you do that in your schools. But I don't want that in my schools. I don't want that around my kids.
Yeah,
and my kids are adults.
That sounds like that sounds like something you should get at like a Votex center. I don't think that should be in high school.
Yeah, there you go. All right, moving right along. So is there going to be a new COVID mandate? You might have heard that the CDC Advisory Committee got together and voted unanimously to include the COVID-19 vaccination in the recommended childhood vaccinations. By the way, there was an uproar amongst conservatives, or amongst people who are concerned about the vaccine, saying, "Wait a minute, this is going to make it a mandate." And the first thing that the CDC said was, "No, this does not make it a mandate." The challenge, though, is that some school districts, some states, actually have whatever the CDC recommends as a requirement as required vaccines in order to be allowed into public schools. Right now, the only states or only places that are planning on requiring the COVID vaccine for entrance into schools, California, which they suspended the requirement for 2022, but right now it's projected to go in place for 2023, and the District of Columbia. Now, Mike, this is dumb for several reasons. First and foremost, we're beyond COVID right now. All right, not only are we now beyond COVID, but if you actually go back and you look at it, the risks, in particular for young males, are greater with the COVID vaccine. Adverse reactions. You have a greater likelihood of an adverse reaction from the COVID vaccine as a young male child than you do from actually getting COVID. It really doesn't make any sense to me why they are requiring this in a day and age where the pandemic supposedly is over.
Well, it's the mob thinking, Greg. Right? Listen, we want to. The CDC has said this. The current administration has said this. We want everybody to get the vaccine. They start carving out little niches and saying, over 70 with other illnesses, or children under 6. If they start saying these are the ones we want, these are the ones we don't want, then you start to find people just they won't do it. Well, because then everybody has the reason to say, well, if the kids don't have to do it, why do I have to do it? So they want blanketly everyone to get it, knowing that it's going to screw up 10% of the people no matter what. Well, they're willing to accept those numbers, because remember, they were fed the line that COVID's going to kill half of us. So if we only lose 10% of the vaccine rather than 50% to the actual virus, they're okay with that. So they're just putting the blanket statement out. Everyone should take it, because they don't want to carve out little sections, because you carve out little sections, that gives everyone the excuse not to take it.
Well, what's funny is when you read some of these articles out there and they talk about, vaccine hesitancy isn't a big thing. Dude, less than 5%, or actually it's less than 3% of children eligible have gotten the vaccine. Yeah. That's not vaccine hesitancy. That's vaccine, oh, hell no.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's vaccine. I get it right here for you, buddy. There you go.
And have we seen, we now know this to be true, and kids are back in school. Have we seen a massive increase in the number of child deaths from COVID?
Let me think about it. No.
How about hospitalizations?
Wait. Let me check the records. Oh, no.
So then why are we doing this?
Because we have to make sure everyone takes the vaccine, Craig. Again,
Right.
if we start to carve out, well, let's don't let the children take it. Well, then they're going to say, if we don't make, newborns to 10-year-olds take it, then the 11 to 15s are going to complain. Well, they don't have to take it, and I'm the same as him. I'm just a year older, but he's taller than me. You see, it starts to roll downhill. As soon as you carve out exemptions, everyone's going to find an excuse not to be there. So that's why their policy is everyone take the vaccine.
Which is beyond dumb, because the people who should take the vaccine, if you're elderly, if you're a senior citizen, I would recommend you take the vaccine. If you are morbidly obese with diabetes and other respiratory or cardiovascular issues, you probably would be helpful to take the vaccine. But if you're,
I agree with you. But again, that's between you and your doctor.
Right.
The fear is, and this is why people are hesitant.
right.
I met a gentleman. I met a gentleman last night. He works over at a big place, mousy place with ears, here in the Orlando area, and his parents had to get the vaccine. They were attending someplace and had to have it. They were 70 years old, both 70, normal health for a 70-year-old, no outlying diseases or anything like that. We consider a normal active 70-year-old. The father went from healthy, taking the vaccine, to 2 weeks later dying of stage 5 liver and kidney failure. When they asked the doctors about it, they said, well, it was kidney failure and their liver stage 5. And they said, well, what happened to stage 1 through 4? They're like, we don't know. And the hospitals and the doctors not even giving real reasons for the death. And this happened within the past 6 months.
Wow.
Because he took the vaccine because someplace they wanted to go said you had to have the vaccine to go there.
Well, and by the way, that's the other thing is a lot of what we're talking. Yeah.
Also, right.
A lot of what we're talking. Yeah, a lot of what we're talking about when we're talking about the vaccine is we're also talking about Omicron versus, Delta and the original version, which obviously Delta and the original version were much worse than Omicron. Omicron is more like Omacold.
Yeah.
The biggest issue is that, quite frankly, that the government is not being honest with a lot of the info. Well, let me clarify. They're putting the information out there, but they're not pushing it, they're not promoting it, and they're acting as if this data doesn't exist. But there's already, and I've already forgotten his name, but Alex, I think it was Alex Grunwald. But anyway, no, maybe it's not him. But there's already a guy out there who basically sued Twitter, and they banned him on Twitter, and they sued him and got his account back because they come to find out that, the government was pressuring them to silence him because all this data that he's putting out there, that he's showing that, the government knows, they knew that vaccines were not going to, that they were not going to prevent you from getting it. And then now you have Big Pharma saying, we never said you wouldn't get it if you took the vaccine. They know the effective. They know that there are more people having issues than you hear about in the media. Once again, it's still probably, in many cases, they are saying, even he's saying, it's still probably depending on the group that you fall in, it's still less than if you had gotten full blown COVID, the older versions. But the problem is that when the government doesn't trust us with the information, when the medical community doesn't trust us with information, then it leads us to not trust them. And we don't know what they're not telling us, and that's the big problem right there.
I'm not sure it's the medical community. I think it's the federal government.
Oh no, it's
pressure on the medical community to restrict that information.
There are many people in the medical community, like Dr. Fauci, who believe that they know better than us, and a lot of that is a. And I'm not saying everybody in the medical community, but there are a lot of people in the medical community who are like, let's not give them all the information, because if we give them all the information, they may not make the decision that we believe they should make.
Right. And listen, when you say Dr. Fauci to me is an agent of the government. He acts on their behalf. Being a doctor is secondary to him. I'm talking the government restricts that information, and now they do go to local hospitals, ones that receive state and federal money, and say, remember, we don't talk about the reason. Rule number one about COVID is we don't talk about the reason for death of COVID. Remember. So
well,
it's
then there's also the medical organizations like the what is it, the American Medical Association, the pediatrics. Once again, many of these are once again our folks who are those are non-governmental agencies, but they're liberal groups of doctors who have, in my opinion, kowtowed to many in the left-wing government.
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right.
All right, for this next story, all I can say, Mike, is everything tastes good with bacon, as long as it's not Kevin Bacon. I saw this story on Breitbart, and I was like, oh, no, they didn't. This is a story. Basically, it says, Michigan cannibal found guilty of killing a man named Kevin Bacon. So just read here. A Michigan cannibal has been found guilty by a judge of first-degree murder for killing and mutilating a man named Kevin Bacon. The conviction of Mark Latunsky, 53, was issued by Judge Matthew Stewart on Wednesday after a rare degree hearing where the judge had to decide whether the cannibal was guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, or manslaughter. MLive.com reported. The ruling comes after only a day and a half of testimony. I don't know how interesting the story is, Mike, except for the fact that it's about a cannibal eating Kevin Bacon.
Oh,
all the fun bacon jokes.
This guy, this 50-something-year-old whack job here, goes on one of the gay dating apps and he goes on one of the gay dating apps and meets this kid. He's 24, 25 years old, the day before Christmas or something, and takes him back to his house and kills him, hangs him up by his feet in the basement with his throat cut, bleeding him out. And then the cannibalism part is because he had a little bit of wiener schnitzel. You know what I'm saying? And then they had then the family couldn't find the guy. They went back to the dating app, led him straight to this house, and they found the poor victim there in the basement.
Okay, thank you for taking what was otherwise a humorous story and making it nice and gruesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Anytime. Glad it could be of help.
Folks, just once again, just goes to show. By the way, this is a dating app, by the way, that those books in that school were teaching children how to get on. Let's tie it back.
Yes. Yes. By the way, I did that whole explanation, Craig, just so I could say wiener schnitzel.
Just so you can say wiener schnitzel.
Yeah.
Mike, you are a bad, bad man.
Wiener schnitzel.
All right, let's move on to our parting shot. The other day, you heard a story. We were talking about Stacey Abrams and the fact that she actually insinuated that abortion is good for the economy. That, well, hey, if of course there's inflation and you're concerned about inflation if abortion affects inflation, because if you have kids, everything's going to be more expensive. Well, the Babylon Bee did not hesitate to jump on that story. Here you have a picture of Stacey Abrams in the grocery store, and it's once again it's got the little Babylon Bee logo on it, and it says Stacey Abrams spotted at the grocery store reminding parents this would all be cheaper if they aborted their kids.
I think that Stacey Abrams believes that it's okay to abort a child through about the 20 or 21st trimester.
Oh, yeah. No, she definitely would, if she could, would advocate for post-birth abortion.
Yes. Yeah.
Not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind. Which, by the way, folks, just so you know, if you want to really deal with inflation, there's a way in which to do it. As noted here, cheaper gas, lower grocery store prices are available at a voting booth near you come November.
There you go.
Or now,
And
because
for
many of you are actually already have your ballots in hand. Just know that there are folks on there who want to charge you more, who want to raise your taxes, who want to increase regulation, which will in turn increase the cost of the products, goods, and services that you receive. There's also a party who, by the way, wants to let you raise your children the way you see fit. There's a party that actually wants to cut your taxes, cut regulation, cut your cost of living. And you have a choice between the two, betwixt and between the two. Don't make the wrong choice. Don't vote Democrat. Just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Of course, Mike, there is also this one, which I think will show you kind of the difference between voting Republican or voting Democrat. If you vote Democrat, well, you can wind up like California, right? Where basically you have Newsom. He promises that there will be enough electricity for all Californians after everyone moves to Florida.
Okay? It kind of makes sense, but I do have a question though, Craig. I do have a question. Why is the bear licking his ear?
Oh, that's a Biden bear.
It's a Biden bear?
That's a Biden bear. He's mistaking the governor for a 12-year-old little girl.
It's just a little tongue in the ear action going on there. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh,
okay, Mike.
Let me say our howdies and departures of the week here for to our good friends over at Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. You got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, like I said, probably have one of their barrels already. But now, if you need one for your own build or you want to rebarrel that rifle, go to hitmanindustries.net. Listen, we got our good friends over at the California Republican Assembly fighting the fight behind enemy lines. Please reach out to them. Help them any way you can. Dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? And then you want some awesome gear, some tactical gear, some web gear, some nylon gear. Go to our good friends over at uscombatgear.com. And why does he know it's good combat gear? He's a combat soldier too.
Exactly. He knows the good stuff. So get the good stuff. Go to uscombatgear.com. Also, I want to remind you, if you're in the state of California or you're registered to vote in the state of California, you're not registered to vote in California, but just want to vote in California, go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Click on the endorsements and you'll find out who to vote for, the real conservatives, the Republican wing of the Republican Party there in California. Check them out. Folks, we very much appreciate you tuning in. We hope that you have a fun weekend. Hopefully you get a chance to send a few downrange. But if not, hopefully you get a chance to throw back a few. Or maybe you just get a chance to chill. However you choose to spend your weekend, I hope you get to do it that way.
There you go. Do that.
With that, we will call it a day. See y'all on Monday.
Wiener Schnitzel.